Everyone, this is my Module 2 Common Science Misconception that I see commonly in my 10th grade biology class. So the science misconception that I chose is that students come to my class typically at the beginning of the school year thinking that all cells look alike, so they have the same size and shape, and then they all contain the same structures, which they later learn are different organelles within them. So that's definitely a big one that sticks out for me in biology when I'm teaching them that the cell is the basic unit of life, and that all living things are made up of cells. So I think that this is most likely caused by students just not having that hands-on experience with looking under a microscope to view different types of cells, and then just also not having an understanding of that different organization of life that we observe in biology. So to explain the misconception here, there are actually two different types of cells. There's prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Some examples of eukaryotic would be plant animal cells, and prokaryotic would be things like bacteria. So their function and cell type indicate their structure. So where they are found within that living organism or that single-celled organism is going to indicate their shape. And cells can also be influenced by environmental conditions. That is also something that students struggle with initially. So things like their temperature or anything that's like impacting their environment can also impact their shape and their function. So the activity or demonstration that I have done in the past with students is a basic cell lab where they learn how to operate a compound light microscope. They create and use prepared slides, and then they're tasked with identifying different cell types. So this breaks that barrier of students not actually getting that hands-on experience initially, and they also then get exposure to different cell types. They start asking questions about, well, why is this one shaped the way it is, or why does it have this organelle and this one doesn't? And then students will just identify cells based off of structures and organelles. So it's a great way to introduce students to the different types of cells and their functions. The handout I have that I will attach to this discussion post is a few pages long. It's just titled Cell Lab, and there are like 8 different cells that students are tasked with looking at under a microscope with different magnifications. And then students are also tasked with labeling the different organelles within those cells by drawing an image of it, what they can see. And then there's various questions that go along with it that relate back to their function and just basic facts about cells. So before I do this lab, I teach students about the different types of cells, and then they also get a rundown of the organelles that they're going to see with or under the microscope. So students do need some background knowledge, but I've done it a few times before where I just show them 1 or 2 slides under a microscope, they compare them, and then it's a great way to open up that discussion of like what they're actually seeing. Why do you think that there's a difference between the 2 cell types? What organisms do you think these cells came from? So I think a cell lab is just a great way for students to break those misconceptions about cells and help them understand more about the basic unit of life. Cells is a really big concept that students need to understand in biology, especially as they get prepared to take the keystones. So I love teaching about cells, and using microscopes is the best way you can do so if you have access to them. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.